Hi everybody, I just wanted to give you guys one last Golota speech before you started school, or if you already started, just want to say thank you for all those years. It was 4 years of coaching you guys, some of you 3 years. And I really appreciate everything you guys brought to the team. It was really nice the last day of practice that we had. I got to do hurdle workouts with you guys, and saying goodbye to like Thomas and Derek and Giselle. It was just really nice seeing you guys. We didn't know it was going to be the end, but I kind of had an inkling, and so it was nice to say that final goodbye in terms of track. I hope I see you guys again. And thinking about the seniors and everybody that I coached over the years. I'll give some shout out names, and if I forget I do apologize, but we'll kind of go in order of my memory. And so I remember Rich Park. You worked really hard, and you sometimes sacrificed your soccer season and your soccer games in order to make it, and make it for our relays, and I really appreciated that. That was really special of you. I'm trying to think. Who else did we have that was a senior? Oh God, there's so many kids. Jinan, you were always there for practice when you were able to make it, and you had a lot of DCs that you had to go to, unfortunately, but you always communicated with me, and I really appreciated that, and I always appreciated your camaraderie, to being there for Caitlin. So that was great. And the other thing is like missing out on so many of you guys being waiting so long to be captains, and then not getting that opportunity. So Elizabeth Campisi, you worked really hard. I saw you running across country, you're always running. I was talking to your dad all the time. I really appreciate all the grind and effort that you put into track and cross country, and it was great to have you on the team. And unfortunately, I didn't get to see you complete your senior year. Shalia, Shalia, you're awesome. I saw you for since you were a freshman, and then senior year, and you blossomed so much, and you really kind of became our I think our mental core for our relays. I don't think we would have broken those records if it wasn't for you just constantly being like the stable force of the relay. And so I really appreciate you, doing what you did on those relays. I know that you didn't like individual events, and I threw you in them anyways, but I really appreciate what you did there. Alex Hromick, you were my advisor, so I really got to see you a lot more, but I remember you were like this scrawny little freshman, that tried doing high jump and almost broke your back, and then you tried doing other things. But what I really appreciated about you, man, was that, no matter what I asked you to do, whether it was, the mile and the 800, you did it. Like you complained a little bit, but you did it. And so I really appreciate your flexibility throughout all those years, and it was just really great seeing you grow for, the past 4 years. That was really nice. I'm trying to think. Anna Schilling, you were awesome. You always told me that tennis is was your main thing, but you really gave it your all when you ran the 800. I know you didn't do a lot of like off-season running, and that's totally cool, because that's that wasn't your thing. But whenever you were at track, you gave it your all, and you had this bright unbridled enthusiasm, and I really appreciated your spirit on the team. It's really sad that I didn't get to see you kind of complete your season. Jared, I remember, freshman year, me throwing you into Titan Invite, running the 4x1, and it was as good as it could get. So I really appreciated that from you, and you always gave it your all. No matter what I threw you in, you never like got phased if I put you in 4 events that were all brutal. So I really appreciate that. You're kind of like the Italian stallion, like you just grinded it out, and I really appreciated that from you. Your unwavering effort. There was nothing that would stop you. I think sometimes you got a little bit into your own head, and I hope that you learn from that, and then when you go to college, just realize that you're awesome, and get out of your head and just be the best that you can be, because you guys were really awesome. It was a privilege coaching you. Caitlin and Ozzy, I mean, you were a freshman phenom. You got on the all-time top 10 list really quick, and you were always there. You were always you gave us stable points in the throwing events, and then you were running freshman year, and then senior year I was going to make you run a little bit too, but unfortunately that didn't happen. And it was just great seeing, I mean, we probably should have paid you because you were coaching all these kids through all the years of how to do throws, and I deeply apologize that I could not find a throws coach for you. I really tried, and I tried doing my best, and I ended up falling on my butt when I tried doing throws, so that wasn't great. But thank you for being on the team for all those years, and not eating ice cream as much as you said that you would, so I really appreciate that. Next, I'll talk about Thomas, Leonetti, and I guess I'll talk about Thomas and Derek at the same time. You guys were both great, great hurdlers. It was, really a privilege to coach you. You guys gave it your all, and you guys became such great, 300 hurdlers. Unfortunately, you guys had those couple falls junior year, and you were going to make up for it senior year. You guys were so close to being, great at Titan Invite and great at all these other events. And senior year would have been your time to shine. Unfortunately, it didn't happen. So I really do hope that, if you want to pursue, club track. I mean, who knows what's going to happen with COVID, but club track, would be awesome, I think, for you guys. And you guys were so great. Hopefully you got maybe some kind of college scholarship if the track is running. But it was nice seeing you guys just always being determined, always running extra. Next, I'll talk about Giselle and On. So you were the grit. Every time I talk to faculty and everybody else, you just grinded it out, no matter what. The 300s, the 100, the 4x1, 4x2, the 200, the 400, the 300 hurdles, anything I threw you in, you got it. Long jump. And so I really appreciate you just kind of being the backbone of the track team in terms of just that grit, and effort. And, I gave you the grit award. I really think you deserved it. Your indomitable spirit is really powerful. I think you're going to go really far by pushing yourself that way. And I'm really, really happy that I got to coach you, and, seeing you progress on the hurdles, and your form had gotten so good over the years. It's just unfortunate that senior year, you didn't get a chance, kind of to show who you had become. And I know this was probably the more exciting season. And I really, at the end of the day, if I forgot anybody, I do apologize. I just have a lot on my mind. We were going to have so many more interesting meets this year. We were going to have our first away meet, and, it sucked that COVID robbed us of all those, times we could have bonded and have those, lifelong memories of having an overnight trip and all relay meet. It's just really unfortunate that happened. But, we'll talk about a couple stories that I'll share with you of kind of, passing on to college that I hope you'll, take with you and internalize and kind of get some of the key messages that I am, pushing across. And so in terms of all the stuff that had happened, if you remember, I always, said, life is a journey, death's the destination, memento mori. So always, take in what you have, because you never know when you're going to lose it. So some of you that are seniors that graduated, you never heard the original story that I had shared my freshman year at LFA, and so your freshman year at LFA, about coaching and track and field. So I'll kind of go through my track story. So I started running track 7th grade, and by freshman year of high school, and the only reason I started is because some kids said, hey, you should try it out, and I was like, okay, sure. So then my freshman year of high school, I broke the 15-year hurdle record for the 55 high hurdles. I broke the 15-year hurdle record, and I was really excited. And then sophomore year, I just kept on doing a little bit better. Junior year, I slacked off a little bit, and then I didn't do so well, but I picked up the pace. And so then senior year, I ended up qualifying for indoor state, which was the first time anybody at Glenbrook South since 1955 qualified for indoor state for the hurdles, and that was really exciting, being ranked in state. So from junior year to senior year, I ran over 500 miles in the summer and just really, pushed myself. And then I got an offer from UIC for a full ride if I ran 15 seconds in the hurdles. I ended up not getting that full ride, even though I did run the time. I ran 14.7, and they told me, hey, we'd love to have you come out for us, and we'll try to give you something next year. That didn't sit well with me, so I talked to my coach, and he told me to go to North Central College, and so that's where I went. In my freshman year, let me backtrack a little bit about senior year. Senior outdoor season, I started getting a little bit more cocky with my running, and if you know the 110 hurdles, so I would run after the 10 hurdles in the last 10 meters. Sometimes I would turn around, look at my competition, and then walk to the finish line. My coach was livid when he saw that the first time, told me not to do it. And I just, I was really, really cocky, and, yes, I was fast, and yes, I was good, but it really, at the end of the day, I think hurt me. So my last race, so conference, I ended up winning conference. I was the only person from Glenbrook South High School that year to get first in their event. So I got first for the 110 high hurdles, and I think I got second in the 300 hurdles. But I had a fracture in my foot, so I was taking about 9 ibuprofen every single track meet just to kind of, grind through the pain. Then after conference came sectionals, and sectionals, there was this Greek kid from Glenbrook North that always hit me. If you hurdles, when you swing the arm, he always hit me. And I was running in mid-race, I was doing fine, and he was right next to me, and he ended up hitting me, ended up stumbling a little bit, hit one hurdle, and I got irritated, and the next hurdle I just kind of crashed through, and the third one I just threw off the track and got disqualified. So that was how my senior year of track ended. I was really upset about it, and I decided, so I went to Junior Olympics, and then I did decaf in Illinois, and that was really fun, and just kind of helped me change my mindset. And then going into college, everything was great in the fall. We'll talk about kind of academics in a little bit, but indoor season, I was doing really well. I was projected to do really well, and again, I was really cocky, you know, making fun of seniors. I was so close to the school record, and by midway through the indoor season, when I would wake up, I couldn't feel my legs. So I was like, okay, that's weird, you know. And went to the trainers at some point, and they was like, oh, you just need to stretch more. Mind you, if you remember anything from track season, I can do the splits. I was super flexible in college. I was like, you know, do I really need to stretch more? Like, is that the issue? And so then indoor season, we had conference, and conference is a much bigger thing. And again, we were, as I've talked about, we were national champions many years, and conference champions for 50 years running, essentially. And a kid on my own team ended up clipping my my trail leg so that he could be, you know, ahead of me in the race. I didn't really notice at the time, but my teammates ran over to me and told me about this, and I was just, you know, a little upset. But then outdoor season, you know, it's like, if you guys are, you know, you guys are all bright because you guys all went to Lake Forest Academy. Imagine you're, you know, in BC Calc, and you're getting A+, 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 you know, 100% on something. You do the practice AP exam, and you get a 5, and then all of a sudden, for some reason, second half comes around, and you're like D, F, F. You study longer, D. You know, you study even longer, F. And by outdoor, so, you know, to reference that, by outdoor season, I was getting dead last at every single race. I couldn't move my legs fast. I couldn't accelerate, and no matter what I did, it was just, you know, awful. It was a horrible, you know, ending to the season. I, again, you know, pushed through some pain at the end and, you know, did fairly well at conference. I think I got 5th at conference, or 6th, I can't remember. But then I went to the doctor, and so I had 3 herniated discs. My lumbar nerve was partially jammed, my sciatic nerve was partially jammed, and one of my vertebrae was chipped. So I was like, all right, you know, can't do track. So he's told me I can't do track anymore because I risk paralyzing both my legs. And so that's how my track career ended. So I went from being about 180 pounds to 230. I didn't really like that, so then I picked up boxing in college, and I couldn't do boxing for long enough because, you know, being a math major, math tests are on Friday, amateur fights are on Thursday. I didn't feel like being, you know, tired and exhausted and beat down, although I never lost. It was 3-0 in amateurs. It was just tiring, so I had to stop boxing. And then out of college, you know, I went and taught. And then when I had my first, when I had Mila, you guys I think all know Mila, when I had Mila, my oldest, when I would sneeze, and I always had back pain, you know, for essentially 7 years after that injury. It was just constant, like, back pain. I just didn't feel like going to surgery. I didn't feel like spending my parents' money on surgery because I was still under their insurance. And so I remember, like, when I was holding Mila and she was a couple months old, I was like, yeah, a couple months old, when I would sneeze, my legs would just give out, my back would stop, and I would have to brace myself against a wall because I would fall. And I was like, I had enough. So I ended up having surgery in December of 2014. And after that, like, I really started hating track. Like, I really despised track. Like, I wouldn't watch any meets. Anytime any of my old teammates would talk about it, I would just shut the conversation down. I was really livid of what track had done to my body, you know, picking up weight and, you know, just the debilitating, like, pain all the time. And so, you know, when I got to LFA and Mr. Madeley said, hey, you're going to be assistant coaching track, I was like, okay, fine, you know, it is what it is. And then time came around and he was like, actually, you're going to head coach track. And I was like, oh, okay. And I remember the first day of practice, I think I jogged with all of you guys, and Kennedy Smith was running. And, you know, seeing Kennedy Smith run, you know, the grace that she ran with really kind of inspired me. And, you know, I kind of started having a love of track after that. And, you know, I became more and more obsessed with it, and really loved coaching you guys. And then I remember, like, you know, Ben Rabin constantly joking in my advisory saying, you know, track is first, then God, then family. You know, if track's not, you know, before your family, like, you know, you're not living a purposeful life, which is just, you know, it's absurd. But, you know, I really love track, and I really love seeing all of you guys run. And so, you know, the moral of the story is, in that point, is you never know what you have. You never know when you're going to get an injury. you never know when the coronavirus is going to hit and now you don't have a senior season to compete in. You never really know what you have. And so, cherish your health while you have it. Don't abuse your health to the point where it's going to, hurt you later in your 20s and your 30s. Another thing that I'll kind of point out about cherishing what you have when you have it is, again, I'll talk about Mila. So Mila has a peanut allergy, and the first time she had an allergic reaction, it was fairly mild, and we went to the hospital, and that's when we found out. But the second time, I was at a store and I gave her Russian candies. So Russian candies, they have labels, but nothing's really truly labeled. And so it didn't say there were any peanuts. It said hazelnuts, but no peanuts. So Mila had one at the store, and then she started coughing a little bit. And I was like, okay, probably choked on hazelnut or whatever. So I gave her some water at the store, and she started getting a little bit like of a rash inside of her mouth. And I was like, okay, fine. So we went to Walgreens right afterwards. I gave her 5 mLs of Benadryl, took her home, and then my wife had to go. She had to go somewhere, so we just put Mila into the bed so she could watch Boss Baby. And right as we put her into bed, about 5 minutes in, she threw up. And we're like, okay, maybe she just got it all over her system. And so she's watching Boss Baby, and then I go into the room, and I'm not exaggerating, she's literally bleeding out of her mouth, her nose, her ears, everything. And I remember, seeing that, and I was like, oh man, like something's happening. So I put her in my car. And actually Anna was just born too. Anna was just born. And so I put her in my car, and I gunned it over to the Lutheran General Hospital, and she had gone into anaphylactic shock, and she had almost died. And they had to give her shots to kind of make sure that she wouldn't pass away, that everything would open up. And I've got a photo of her just, all swollen. I could have lost my daughter that day. And, for me, the big bonus of being a teacher and, having family, young, I'm 30 with 3 kids, I'm done essentially with children, is that I get to spend a lot of time with my family as a teacher, and, coaching track was really awesome. And I remember, our first meet that we would have had this year, it was going to be 72 degrees, which is, if you ever heard me talk, 72 is the perfect running weather for track, for a sprinter. And, I was like really upset, and my wife's like, oh, hey, now that the track season's not here, you get to spend more time with your family. And it really took me months to kind of like get through that and realize, I am getting much more time with my family. But at the same time, all you guys, you were like family to me, seeing you guys for hours a day, sometimes teaching you and then coaching you as well. It was just, it was an absolute pleasure. And all those rides and, that really long Lamont meet, it was just really fun being with you guys. It was very, very heartwarming. And, losing Mila almost was really, really heartbreaking. So if you have any family members, that sometimes, maybe your mom annoys you or your sister annoys you, just know that really at any moment, something could happen. You think of, when I talked about, Kobe a little bit, like he didn't know that him and, Gianna were going to, die that day, and neither did his wife and his other daughters. And, they lost, their family forever. You think of all the police shootings that have happened, those families, they lost people in their family that they will never get back. You don't know who you're going to lose when you're going to lose them. All you got to do is just live your day, every single, that whole story of like, live every day like it's your last. That doesn't mean, go out and, party it up and, live life, extravagantly. It means, cherish the ones that you have, because that's really the most important part is your family. They really are the most important part. And they gave you, such a privilege and an honor to be at Lake Forest Academy. This really is a great school. It's fun, no matter what you thought of it, me coming from a public school background, my wife coming from a CPS background, like this is a great school. Like, whether your parents, paid for the school fully, or your parents or grandparents or somebody found, scholarships for you to be here, like this was an amazing place. And I really, like I always said, like you guys are all amazing, every single one of you. And I think you guys will do great things in life. But just make sure that you're cherishing the moments that you have. Never try to speed up life, because it does get harder, and then eventually it gets easier. But it's all about, your goals. Like for my goals, I wanted to have a family young, and now I'm working on, building up the financial base. Other people, they wanted to build a financial base first, and then the career, and then they wanted to have kids. There's no wrong or right way of going about things. It's all about what you have in your goals. I had my AP World teacher send me a letter that I wrote 12 years ago. Or 11 years ago, of what I wanted to be, what I wanted to do 10 years from that point, 10 years from 2008. In that letter, it said that I wanted to coach track, that I wanted to teach high school math and have 3 kids and be married. It's exactly what I have, you know. And so have your goals and don't worry about the little small details that, you know, will interrupt life along the way. Just make sure that you stay focused. One other thing that I'll mention about, you know, family being important. My senior year of high school, I was working for the Archbishop of Skopelos. So I'm Russian Orthodox Christian, and so I was working with essentially somebody who's on like way top tier in terms of the hierarchy. And I would, you know, sort his archives and do everything for him, and I would take the bus and then the train to Chicago because he lived off of Belmont. And I was also dating this girl from New Trier at the time. And it was December, and she's like, hey, you know, my friends and I were going out to the city, like, do you want to come with us? And that same, literally almost like that same moment, he had messaged me, called me, left me a voicemail saying, hey, he called me Theodore. He's like, hey, Theodore, you know, I need help with a little project for a little bit, and, you know, talk to you. Can you come over? And the time that they had set essentially was the same time. So I decided, you know, being a high schooler, I decided, hey, let me go to the city with my girlfriend. So I went to the city with my girlfriend, and it was December 18th I went to the city. The December 19th, he passed away. Unexpectedly, he passed away. And I never got a chance to say goodbye. You know, I never got a chance to say, hey, I made an excuse and I blew you off so I can go hang out with my girlfriend. You know, really cherish, you know, what I'm kind of getting at is really cherish the people you have in your life. Your parents are extraordinary. Your grandparents are extraordinary. You know, whoever in your life that's family really is, you know, there for you and they love you. And I know everybody's situation is different. You know, maybe it's siblings that are taking care of you. But just really cherish the people that you have and, you know, try to do good in this world. There's so much evil and hatred in this world. You know, and if you're going to be, you know, I always thought that I wanted to be a doctor, but I sucked at biology, so that's why I didn't become a doctor. I became a math teacher because I was good at math. You know, if you're going to become a doctor, I think that's fantastic. You know, if you're going to become a lawyer, I think that's fantastic. You know, I think if you're going to become a teacher, that's fantastic. If you're going to work as a social worker, that's great. If you're going to become a police officer, that's great. Military is great. But whatever you choose in life, think of what would a good human do. You know, not what would not what you would do based off of like, oh, my values or these values or, you know, right values, left values. It's not about that. It's literally about being a great human being and, you know, what can you do to make the world a better place? And so, you know, for me, that's why, you know, I teach math. I think, you know, my style of teaching really helps people kind of appreciate math a little bit more and ease some of that anxiety with math, and then also help build you a great foundation for, you know, higher level math. And also I think raising, you know, my kids well, to the best of my ability is what I would like to do to essentially make the world a better place. And this year I'm working on racial equity at LFA and a couple other projects here and there. And so, you know, whatever you choose to do in life, just do it to your fullest. You know, don't, you know, like I always said in track, you know, if you're gonna, you know, not show up to practice, you're gonna, you know, at practice, like, why even show up? If you're gonna be a doctor and not care about every single one of your patients and do your best ability to perform, you know, surgery, be an anesthesiologist, like, why are you doing it? You know, and so really whatever you choose to do in your careers, make sure you do it well. Another point that I'll kind of mention about college, so I had a 32 on my ACT, and I went to North Central where the ACT acceptance is 18 and above, because North Central really let anybody in, but then it became a lot more brutal once you got in. We had a really high freshman dropout rate. And I remember getting in there and I was like, oh yeah, you know, I'm going to be, you know, king of the castle. I'm going to rock all these classes. I ended up getting like a 2.8 GPA or 2.7 GPA after first term. And I was like, wow. And so it took me 3.5 years to build that GPA back up. So my advice for you, you're starting out college. Some of you are doing e-learning. Some of you are doing in-person. Some of you are doing hybrid classes. Don't screw up. You know, don't take it lightly. Literally don't screw up. You're paying for college, or your parents are paying for college, or some funds, or you're taking loans out. You're using a lot of money to pay for college. Don't screw up your opportunities. You know, don't squander it. Every single class is important. Whether it actually is or isn't is a different thing. You know, some electives might not be as important, but getting a good grade in them and learning something from them and building certain relationships with other students is important. So make sure you take advantage of every opportunity you have. You know, I didn't really take advantage of many clubs when I was in high school, and I think that really hurt me, you know, going into college in terms of, you know, being more social and stuff. but really take advantage. You guys were all great. I saw you guys, speak multiple occasions. Alex playing the saxophone, like that was awesome. You guys are all very, very talented, and I hope you bring those talents with you to college. And so, kind of my last, hurrah to you is that, be the best that you can be, because you never know what's going to happen in life. I love all of you guys. I hope you guys have a safe, and healthy school year and moving forward. If you guys are able to come visit, please do so. I will try to work some, way out where we can have an alum meet. Our track season this year is May 3rd to June 26th. So it's all, all turned around. But I wish you guys nothing but the best, and you guys are amazing. Thank you for a wonderful 4 years.